formed in the sea. This is a harmful algae bloom, a byproduct of bioremediation that manifests when algae starts to grow uncontrollably, forming a layer on the ocean surface blocking sunlight. This can be exacerbated by climate change. Oil booms are floating barriers used to contain spills in the sea. They are flexible and float on water. This can be controlled into imagining a new productive landscape, one that generated the design for this new community. These oil booms and algae allow us to wonder, what if landscapes could be transient? How would they inform a new way of inhabitation, one with movement and constant flow? These flexible landscapes allow us to generate a new productive tissue in the sea. This is a simulation of how the oil booms move, an abstract representation of how they would exist in constant fluid motion. With this as ground zero, the community slowly starts to reappropriate the booms, using them as flexible infrastructural scaffolding for a new productive landscape. The oil rig becomes its epicenter, reutilized as a productive core and an area for piers. Shipping lanes form in between the booms for access to the oil rig. In Phase 1, fishing communities see the algae bloom as an opportunity to start harvesting the algae to create biofuel. What was initially a side effect of the catastrophe becomes an incredible bioproduct. Biofuel infrastructure is set up at the oil rig. The oil booms are repurposed for formal closed-pond algae cultivation. This grows into a full productive economy, biofuel being a stepping stone to bigger industries. Ponds are moved away from the rig for easy circulation. In Phase 3, the community starts producing higher-grade commodities like synthetic fish using the algae. Biofuel is used to power the industry, generating energy. Synthetic fish becomes a new alternative food source, providing the fishermen with jobs and a new industry. It is plant-based and non-extractive in nature, growing as a scaffolding on the rig. Fishermen start to slowly inhabit the seas, moving from the threat of rising sea levels and flooding land to a new way of living. The centers of the booms provide new coordinates in the ocean, allowing people to locate themselves among the landscape. Following this, seaweed and agriculture cultivation starts. In the final phase, a new autonomous community is formed. A new way of living emerges with food security and protection from the environment. The community evolves to exporting synthetic fish. Their prototypical infrastructures also evolve to geoengineer, promoting carbon drawdown. Productivity is fixed. However, the algae in between acts as gardens, sliding in between them. It's a communal way of living, where all are responsible for the public space in between, and infrastructure is designed in a way to allow space for movement. This results in an amalgam, a new type of moving tissue. In the rig, material flow starts with the harvesting of algae. It's then brought to the base and processed into biofuel. The biofuel is pumped up into the scaffold, powering up the synthetic fish labs. This is the main productive core in the rig, floating above the water level and protected from the elements. Lift cores connect to the labs and scaffolding grows with the community. Here, algae is used to produce plant-based synthetic fish, the main export and food source. It is also processed as marine bioplastic for clean packaging. Algae is formerly cultivated using raceway ponds. These ponds float in between the netting and use oil booms surrounding them to anchor themselves. People use boats to harvest the algae and transport it to the rig. Inhabitation is redefined in the sea. The structural frame is designed for people to build their own houses inside, providing a structure for an informal and communal way of living. The frames are modular and stack on top of one another, with a maximum of 5 floors. The funnel at the top collects rainwater for drinking, which then fills up a tank underwater. This weight distribution allows the inhabitation module to remain buoyant. The frames function as bioreactor pipes for more algae production. This is used as the base module for wastewater cleansing. Side funnels are also introduced to catch rainwater, which is for personal use and consumption. Although people build their own houses, rules of space occupancy in the frames are imposed to ensure circulation and light penetration. The frames are first subdivided, and beams and columns are placed every 10 meters. The columns act as a basis for houses to attach. The first level center fills up. This is followed by level 2. Current houses then extend with smaller ones also slotting in. Only when the centers of the first 2 levels are built does the perimeter develop. They develop in an alternating formation for light porosity. The 3rd floor builds when the first 2 are filled, starting from the center. Each housing module accommodates 300 people, with a cluster accommodating 900. The seaweed is a flexible system that grows in between the booms. For the seaweed agriculture system, branching is explored. Different angles and lengths are tested for productivity. The system grows with a seed module attached to the housing. consists of a productive pier and a processing core. The optimal angle for production is 30 degrees, and every 80 meters, the direction of branching is reassessed based on site. Agriculture is introduced as more people move in, and the branches get wider at 60 degrees to allow space for the modules to slot in between them.
Come see how we live.
This is the lab where the production of synthetic fish happens. The community here used to be fishermen, but the labs now are filled with people doing research on new technology and production.
It's the end of our workday. Come on, let's go down to the market.
Wow, there is so much activity here. You could never imagine this on an oil rig. It's been completely transformed into something like a downtown area. When you first arrive at the city, you get to these piers, which have become a place of gathering. They form natural pools with these beautiful corals underneath. I'd love to take a dip later. Oh, I see someone right there harvesting seaweed. Let me take you there. People here stay true to their roots as fishermen and dive to harvest seaweed as a fruit source. Kelp forests contribute to carbon drawdown too. It's a communal effort to combat future climate emergencies. This is the newest sector developing in the city. The first floor is where people come together to eat, share, and spend time together. Is a whole new ecology of its own. The living here is informal, occupying rooftops and public spaces. And these spaces change with time to reflect the identity of the community.
Hi, would you like to join us for dinner?
Sure, I don't think I can resist. Thank you everyone for joining us on this journey. I think this is a place that's going to be hard for me to leave. Contains everything we need for a better tomorrow.